Welcome to the mythical creatures.
In various mythological systems, there is an image of a werewolf, a monster that represents a person capable of turning into an animal, or vice versa, as well as an animal with the ability to turn into a human. This ability is often inherent in demons, deities, and spirits. The role of a classic werewolf is most often played by a wolf, with whom all associations that arise at the mention of this term are associated. Such a change can occur at the request of a werewolf or accidentally. For example, under the influence of certain lunar cycles or sounds such as howling, werewolves are immune to the aging process and physical ailments due to the constant renewal of tissues, which makes them almost immortal. They can't be destroyed by inflicting fatal wounds to the heart or brain, or in other ways that damage these organs, for example, by hanging or strangulation. It is believed that silver is also deadly to werewolves, although in fact a werewolf is a wolf. Being in wolf form, he still retains human abilities and knowledge that help him in hunting. Skills such as choosing certain victims, bypassing traps, and human cunning become apparent when investigating cases involving werewolves. A person who turns into a werewolf against his will, whether born, cursed, or bitten, is not considered definitively cursed until he experiences human blood. Once that happens, his soul will be forever cursed, and nothing will be able to heal it. But even if after that he refrains from trying to drink human blood, his soul will not be able to go to heaven, and he will remain on earth until his death under the burden of a curse. Werewolves are most often depicted as monsters. For example, the Greeks present them as a skinny sorcerer with the head of a donkey and the tail of a monkey. It is believed that on gloomy winter nights, especially from Christmas to Epiphany, werewolves roam everywhere, scaring people. However, after the water consecration, the air is cleared of these monsters and they instantly disappear. Since ancient times, the insidious predator has been a symbol of night and winter, as well as death. For example, the Egyptian god with the head of a wolf accompanied the dead to the realm of the dead. Nevertheless, our distant ancestors observed some mysterious features in the wolf that associated it with the sun. Could it have been agility, indefatigable ability, the ability to bowl after prey, or his power and ferocity? All this was enough for him to become a symbol of the sun. In ancient times, many animals played the role of totems. Hunters and warriors were not so devotedly and fervently transferred to any other predator as to the wolf. Their ferocity, endurance, and luck in hunting amazed the primitive consciousness. Such devotion could not remain without consequences. Herodotus described the history of a northern European tribe whose members turned into wolves every year for a short time. Many tribes in different parts of Europe suffered from such megalomania. For example, the Bots had warriors, servants of the wolf god, who took drugs before the battle and literally transformed into wolves. During battles, such warriors saw themselves in the form of wolves in their hallucinations. Some of them remained in this state forever, and then they were killed so that they would not harm the herds. According to legend, the German wolf warriors were so ferocious that they did not need to use weapons. They could kill enemies with their shields. The sagas also tell of bloodthirsty robbers who also considered themselves wolves. Despite this, people believed that their heroic ancestors, when they died, turned into wolves, and the gods of the Scandinavians and Germans, such as Odin and Wotan, themselves were like werewolf warriors. In mythology, the end of the world was depicted as the coming of Fenrir, the universal wolf, who would open his mouth from earth to heaven and devour everything and everyone, including Odin himself. The first mass hysteria associated with the identification and persecution of werewolves, including werewolves of dogs and cats, swept Europe in the XIV century. 2 centuries later, this phenomenon reached a new peak. The last mass outbreak, which lasted in France from 1570 to 1610, was accompanied by an intense theoretical discussion. At that time, peasants stabbed all suspicious passers-by with sticks, and the courts sentenced those possessed by lycanthropy to be burned along with the innocently accused. At the same time, scientists wrote treatises, master's theses, and pamphlets on the topic of werewolf. The most famous case was the trial of Jules Garnier in the 16th century, which horrified the inhabitants of northern French villages, according to witnesses of that time. This tramp met the devil in the forest, made a deal with him, selling him his soul, and in exchange received a drug that allowed him to turn into a wolf. Regardless of how it happened, Garnier did commit terrible crimes. He raped women, killed children, practiced cannibalism, and mutilated the bodies of the men he killed. He was arrested, interrogated, and tortured in Dolly 1574. The evidence of the interrogation still reads like a fascinating detective novel. Few such records have survived, and only a few cases of lycanthropy have been documented out of thousands of others. Psychosis often acted as an excuse during periods of extreme hunger. It allowed people to either attribute cannibalism to werewolves or hide behind insanity to avoid guilt before God when despair led to such terrible deeds. The werewolf, as a creature from mythology, will remain relevant for a long time. Perhaps, for the time being, human society retains its complexity and surprise. Only when human self-hatred is finally recognized as an illusion that we have been mistaken for reality for many centuries, and distrust becomes an archaic remnant, the fantastic image of the non-human will lose its relevance.
Thanks for watching. It will be nice to see you again in the world of mythical creatures.